Welcome to Hatman Strikes Back Daily Boxing News. So Jack Catterall won a 12-round unanimous decision over Regis Prograis on the weekend. Let's talk about it. Prograis started off very aggressively. He looked like the puncher in the fight. He was stalking Jack Catterall, slinging some big shots over the top. Most were missing or not landing clean, but perhaps he hit Catterall on the shoulders, chest, maybe grazed him to the head with enough force to make Jack Catterall wary. There was very little action in the first 4 rounds, but as I say, Prograis was the aggressor. And after 6 rounds, I actually had Prograis up in the fight, especially since Catterall suffered a knockdown in the 5th. Now, to my eye, it had as much to do with Catterall slipping on the shiny advertisement on the canvas as it did the force of Prograis' shot that preceded the slip. Catterall wasn't hurt at all. If he'd been on a different part of the canvas that doesn't have that shiny advertising on it, I doubt he would have gone down. So that was unlucky for Jack Catterall, but technically the referee had to count it as a knockdown. His glove did touch the canvas. And so as I say, after 6 rounds, I had Prograis up. But the problem for Prograis is that he was fighting like a man who believed he needed a knockout to win. And maybe he did. He certainly didn't like the decision that went against him when he fought Josh Taylor back in the days. So against Catterall, he was swinging for the fences. And the knockdown he scored only seemed to encourage him. But of course, that left opportunities for Jack Catterall to counter. And in the following rounds, that's exactly what he did. He started countering Regis Prograis all over the place, and it resulted in Prograis going down in the 9th round twice. The first knockdown in particular was quite heavy. Prograis was hurt. Moments later, Catterall put him down again. Prograis did well to make it out of the round, although the second knockdown wasn't as heavy. It was just a glove touch in the canvas. And that round really sealed it for Catterall because Prograis only became desperate after that, real desperate. He actually swung himself off his feet several times in the fight. He tackled Jack Catterall to the floor. I don't think intentionally, but just because he was so off balance and he was so wild with his attacks that it just led to that tackle situation. It was quite funny. So Prograis was desperate, going for the knockout even more so than ever. Catterall capitalizing on it all. And so the second half of the fight turned out to be pretty entertaining. Regis Prograis appeared to maybe injure his ankle, might have been in the championship rounds, but by then I think it was academic. Catterall had his number, he had his measure. Prograis hadn't really landed that many clean ones in the fight, and so Catterall was able to just not necessarily coast to victory, but box his way to victory. Jack Catterall really is the quintessential tricky southpaw, awkward southpaw. If memory serves me correct, he spent some time training in the Mayweather gym back in the days. Did he also spar Canelo? I forget now, but those experiences were invaluable for Jack Catterall, I think, because he knows how to protect himself above all else. When someone's slinging big shots at him, he doesn't get overwhelmed. His defensive construct works very well. We saw that in both Josh Taylor fights, actually. We saw it against Jorge Linares, and we've seen it now against Regis Prograis. So he's definitely an underrated defensive fighter, Jack Catterall. And he builds his offense off the back of his defense. He's one of these guys who likes to get you missing a lot first. Likes to have a look at you in the early rounds. Once he thinks he's got you sussed, then he starts timing you with shots. So he's one of these guys that warms his way into fights generally. So he won the fight via unanimous decision. No point going into the scores. Some people say they were too wide. I don't think it really matters at this point. Regis Prograis gave Jack Catterall his flowers in a post-fight interview. Said that Jack Catterall's one of the best he's ever faced, if not the best. I'm not sure how sincere he was about that. Not saying he wasn't sincere, I'm just saying I'm not sure. Sometimes in the moment, when someone's emotional after a fight, they're feeling a bit sentimental, they might praise you a bit too much. And sometimes, of course, it can go the other way. They criticize you a bit too much. In any event, Catterall did the business. This was a WBO ranking match, for those of you who don't know. Prior to the bout, Catterall was ranked number 2 by the WBO with just Arnold Barboza above him. Teofimo Lopez is obviously the WBO super lightweight world champion. The other champions are Alberto Puello with the WBC. You've also got Devin Haney, who is WBC champion in recess. Then you've got Jose Venezuela, WBA champion, and Liam Paro, IBF champion. Catterall is ranked number 2 by the WBC behind Sandor Martin, number 5 by the WBA, number 3 by the IBF behind Richardson Hitchens, number 2 not rated, and as I say, number 2 by the WBO. So he's knocking on the door for a title shot with all 4 sanctioning bodies actually. But given the fact he just had a WBO ranking match, then the Lopez fight might be what he targets. Then again, Liam Paro is a matchroom fighter, so it's possible Jack Catterall might target him instead. Liam Paro being IBF champion, just to remind you. Let me know what chance you give Jack Catterall against all 4 of the current world champions at 140 pounds. Lopez is by far and away the biggest name of the current active world champions. Devin Haney, champion in recess, not active. So Lopez is the biggest name right now. And because of that, a lot of people are going to assume that he's the best of the 4 champions. But I must remind you that the last time Teofimo Lopez fought a slick southpaw, many people think that he actually lost that fight. Of course, I'm talking about Sandor Martin back in 2022. Lopez was dropped, and for some people, he was comprehensively outboxed. But he got the nod from the judges on a split decision. Could Jack Catterall do a similar job on Teofimo Lopez? Bear in mind, Lopez is one of these guys who tends to blow hot and cold. He's either as good as the best of them or as bad as the worst. Now, as I understand it, Lopez is going through some issues at the moment with his promoter Top Rank. They seem to have had a tumultuous relationship for quite some time now. I'm not sure that Eddie Hearn will be willing to put up the kind of money necessary to get Teofimo Lopez in the ring with Jack Catterall for a voluntary defense. Catterall may have to force the mandatory. In any event, let's see how he does. Going for his second title shot, the first one was, of course, against Josh Taylor several years ago. Many people think he was jobbed that time on the scorecards. The next title shot would be his second, as I say. Let's see if he can do it. Leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. How did you like Jack Catterall's performance against Regis Prograis? And before I go, make sure you check out this career review I did on Riddick Bowe. It's nearly 3 hours long. I show the actual fight footage and commentate over it in real time, going all the way from his Olympic final defeat to Lennox Lewis in 1988, right the way through his pro career up to the Galata fights. I had a lot of fun doing it, very nostalgic for me, and hopefully very informative for you guys. It's certainly getting great feedback on Patreon, so make sure you check it out. If you want to access this video along with hundreds of hours worth of other exclusive boxing content, as well as our members chat, just head on over to my Patreon page and select the tier called the Boxing Brotherhood. There's no contract, no commitment. You can cancel at any time, just like Netflix, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper. Just download the app from the Play Store or the App Store. All the links are in the description box below.